Good rainy day, YouTube. Tackler Stribs here, and just on my way to work, and I just had a thought about some vloggers. I mean, I watch a few guys. Well, not a few, quite a few. I don't know, maybe at least 100 that I'm subscribed to, and I keep gaining to more on recommendations from people. But I don't know, maybe you guys haven't seen some of the guys that I've seen, but do you not think some of the vloggers are way over the top with stuff that they say? I mean, what made me think about this, and I'm not going to mention the vloggers' names, but I was having a conversation with the guy at the burger van, and he asked me whether or not I had a 125 before I'd done my full licence, which I did not. I had no bike, and I bought a SRAD, an S-RAD. GSXR, and he said I was stupid for purchasing this bike as my first ever motorcycle. And the next day I was back at the burger van, and there was different people working, and a couple of motorcyclists pulled up, and they said that this is a good starter's bike, a good first bike. So that made me think, there's a few vlogs that I watched about whether or not you should buy a 600 as your first bike. And whether or not you should just buy a 250, and some vloggers are so adamant that you have to have a 250 for a month or two before you get a next bike and then a next bike. Well, that's expensive. I can't afford to buy a 250, then get rid of that and buy another bike, so I have to buy a bike that's going to last. And I can honestly say I bought the 600 thinking I won't get bored of this thing, I won't get used to it too quick. But within a couple of months I was like, well, there's not much to this 600, and I said to the guy at the burger van that I'm looking for next summer maybe to get a 1000cc bike. And one of the motorcyclists there pulled over, and came over and said, no, I don't think you should. I think you should ride that for at least 2 years before you get a 1000cc bike. And I thought, well, what's the point? What is the point? If I want to get a bigger bike, I should be able to get a bigger bike, and it's up to me. But the point of the story was that some vloggers are like, yeah, you have to get a 250, you cannot start on a 600, it's too dangerous. Yes, in some circumstances, if you're young, if you're 17, 18, getting a 600, which in this country you can't do anymore, so you have to be 24 to get one of these, or 21 if you pass your test at 19, then you can retake it. So, but I just think that some people are so over the top, and they're just like, they're telling people stuff, and I reckon people listen to them and go out and get a 250 and then get bored of it, because I know that's what would have happened to me. And I'm not saying that I'm bored of a 600, because I'm actually not bored of this bike, but I am used to the power it can deliver. Yeah, maybe sometimes it will catch me a little bit unaware, maybe in some of this bad conditions, but I mean, once I'm through this winter on it, I'm going to be so used to this bike. I want a bigger bike already. I've only been riding since July, but I don't know, maybe that's just me. Maybe a lot of other people will still be struggling, like the young lad who's got the 750 in the petrol station I was speaking to, who said that he's all, oh, I can't ride the bike. He said if I see him, I'll know it's him, because he'll be the guy all over the road because he can't handle it. But yeah, so I purchased a 600 as my first ever motorcycle. Is that stupid? I don't think it is. Doesn't feel stupid to me. So I'm going to get to work now because I'm running late, and I shall catch you guys all later. There is one vlogger in particular that I think is key to this overacting in his vlogs. But I do like the guy. He has the most, I would call it the most over-the-top American accent. But it's probably just how he talks. I don't know whether he puts it on, but oh my god, his voice is why I watch his vlogs, because it makes me laugh so much that it's so American. And it's so, get a 250, man. The 600 is too much, man, for the streets. Everybody who has seen his channel will now know who I mean. But I will say I like his channel. I like his channel a lot. A lot of his videos are good, and I will take word from it. But when I heard him saying, get a 250, man, I thought, nah, never ever will I listen to that advice. So glad I didn't. My mate bought a 400, the one I was out with the other day, and within a month he wanted to get rid of it. And I told him so many times, do not buy a 400, buy a 600 and get used to that. And he said, nah, 400's quick enough. I said, fair enough, mate, you can ride that 400, I'll go and get a 600 when I pass my test. Within a month he wanted a 600. He rid this and he could not believe the power difference on it. And he only rid it in a car park, and I mean, he got into second gear and he didn't even open the throttle properly. He just was using low end power, which on a 600 isn't much, particularly on this bike. There isn't much power before 5,000 RPM. 5,000 RPM is where it all happens. About 10,000 RPM is where it decides I want to be ballistic. So yeah, he rid this in a car park and decided that on low RPMs it was so much better than his bike, and then he really did wish he never bought the 400, and he's been looking for a 600 since. Whoop, white line, cat's eye there, a bit slippery. Only problem with these corners is there's diesel everywhere on them, and as you come round on a line you have to cross through this diesel, or you have to stay out wide to avoid it, which is mighty irritating, because we all know we don't want to be out wide on corners. And there was another vlogger from the UK who, he did buy, I think he bought a Bandit, a 600 Bandit, and all his mates went out and bought 250s and said he was stupid for buying this Bandit. And within a couple of months they'd all tried to get rid of these 250s to get something bigger. So all you guys out there who are adamant that you should buy a 250, some cases you are probably right. I'm not saying you're completely wrong and you shouldn't say it, because people who have never rid a bike or aren't as confident in themselves, yes, a 250 would benefit them. But people who are wanting a 600, you should not try and stop them. You shouldn't say, nah, you're stupid, you need to get a 250. The other day I watched a vlog about a guy who got a litre bike, as they call it in the States. And someone actually made a video about him saying that it's stupid to get a litre bike. I tried to watch the video in question, but it had been taken down or made private, so I couldn't actually watch it. But I thought, oh my god, well, I've only been riding for 5 months and I already feel that I could ride 1000cc, a litre bike. Is that stupid, 5 months and then to step up? I don't personally think that it is, but obviously I won't buy 1000cc this side of the winter. I will wait, and that's only whether money allows it. If I can afford it, reasonably afford 1000cc next year for the summer, I will purchase one. But if not, I won't. I'll stick with this. I was tempted to get a Supermoto, just because in this sort of weather, a Supermoto would be more fun in the winter and stuff. You can do more on it, get more ride time. But for getting to work, I think this is a good option. I don't mind riding this to work, so I quite enjoy this for a work commuter. As a first bike, obviously I don't know anything different because I've never had another bike. Yeah, obviously I don't know any different. This is my first bike. I think it's a brilliant bike though, to be honest, so I'm not going to complain about it. But yeah, my opinion is get a 600, mate, honestly, because yes, they are a hell of a lot quicker than a 250. I had a 250 years ago, which I wasn't legal to ride on, but I had one and I thought that was awesome, absolutely awesome. I thought that was, and when I got this I was just like, my Christ, this is quick. But it was never ever unreasonably quick to me. I don't think I've ever thought, flip, and now I'm going to flip it, I'm going to rip my arms off, you know what I mean? So my opinion would be to get a 600 as a first bike, because they are pretty docile if you treat them right. If you don't pin the throttle full open just to pull away, it will treat you well. So, and you have a bit of power to get out of trouble. On a 250, yes, you do have a little bit of power, but how much of that power is quick enough to pull you away from trouble? Just like when I left my street this morning, I looked and the road was clear, and as I pulled out a car come flying around the corner, I gave it a little flick on the throttle and I was across the lane in the other side where I needed to be. Whereas on a 250 that would have been very close to me. So I don't know. I've always thought that if you buy a motorcycle you should buy a 600, not a 250. But like I said before, if you've never ever ridden a bike before, maybe a 250 or a Ninja 300 or something like that, there are smaller bikes around that would be more suitable than a 600cc Super Sport, because obviously these are quick. But if you're a sensible guy, such as myself, or most of the time, then this will be no problem for you. None at all. It's no problem for me. Anyway guys, I better get off to work. Well, I am on the way to work. Anyway guys, I'm off to work, so I will see you all later. Peace. Ride safe, my friends.